You are not. Also a very astute lawyer. Only mumrapa. You be a dream man. And you know, and some people walk cry a car. On Jim but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now. He has been adamant about clearing his name because under wraps because there was a component be na multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then he decided to say but we are bold with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yana pay a coin no nema ba kuminu si ya.
Obviously, for almighty Kelvin Taylor, every breaking news be to social media. So everyone ajo a trainee pa means when they be actually there. Now news here about Kennedy Agyapon and Anas Arameyao. You need to say Anas Arameyao on the Kennedy Agyapon or more banter or social media. So now when Anas Arameyao the Asanako Pimo New Jersey court just say for court at Nasemneswa and I just say ombu atten. Now atten on binina ombutia Kennedy Agyapon at just a court no it's my final $18 million at Kanina Echo Anas Arameyao Kelvin Taylor and Anas Arameyao lawyer no etwenkoma emane de yewra nsem ma kasankasa na mpese same repino be so be kamonia ko ne ko tie nsema Anas Arameyao lawyer no e be tu dwane bi aba ne ba de aka no me ba beto amaso
he's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English, you speak from your name, Salasi, you speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please, I speak.
Good.
Tree, yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Arameyao Anas, Oye Ghanaian, Oye investigative journalist, his work over the years he has gone through a lot of court appearances in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Agyapon say Kennedy Agyapon or former MP a few years ago announced the investigative piece by na efa football home GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues on any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU, Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapon, and a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at the point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapon. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Otunedin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas Arameyao felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work. Or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Salasi Adika, renowned lawyer. Ghpagetv, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court? Abba.
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes.
And that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, papa no and someone just like what kind of about my client. So, like, you know, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. It's interesting enough for me, after reviewing the video, I you know, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, be a case, no, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, you know. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you know, you tweet back court, New Jersey, yes, and say, yeah, papa no video no, so yeah, papa na and the moon some say, or kase fee New Jersey. Now, when you say, the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And you know, there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, you know, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, I wouldn't say, a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And you know, there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like Mekai and also my lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So you know, after the preliminary back and forth, you know, initially, the case we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes,
we filed suit.
That's what I'm
sometime
saying.
I think
the complaint.
Yeah, sometime I think in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And you know, by law, no, there was a period by which Papa no Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. So Papa no one filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, I filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a cron or a cron 4. The second one was or you would in terms of or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one so say a serial killer in terms of Chinese for Bibi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, behind would the same biana, that means say biana no a trigger man and also no will be and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went on undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And, you know, at that point, you know, we recruited them as counsel of record. And, you know, the case went, at that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in obviously, because near Ghpagetv judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, you know. They argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, no, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, no, almost really see it. And I don't know, so say almost defense to case I
because
New Jersey.
We need Ghana, so case no
exactly.
In terms of no almost case. Okay.
And so as defense against, but the interesting thing is that defamation is here, no. The work of court, it's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean to Ghana and family defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, no, in this jurisdiction, no, the law is the same essentially because Ghana no. But you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, dead into me, so India, but to me, the two na senior, especially in cases, maybe you decided that type of a case. And you know, Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, you know, there are certain nuances, you know, sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, you know, Emrano drafted complaints. You know, we were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, no, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And you know, they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And, you know, we took it for what it's worth and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday. And we put up our case. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, the difference between what happened with Ghana and Johannes said, trial by jury. Into no any judge, or judge back one I say judge me, no one I say judge me and send a BDS seminar. But normal people among the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a twin from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We're from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say bia
your vetiomo just say obi nim asem hu bia na so onimu bia asem we fan ho ana say obi wo hwa bia nyame bi osom no So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, judge, in this case, judge, Emrano. Na Omodiama. Jury no make church room making kind of first. No more so paper inside. Aqua decide the different deliberations. Me but me so say me okay. Okay. And you know, there are some more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church room running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into no ya kura na adwin say we bia na 4:30 no court right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no no kura ya adwin so ya kopebe bia tena ya take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury, so as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now at the buy and the civil claims now at the buy.
The defense.
His defense was also, although Oka said, it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I court say sa counting na mode bono no say on anas back and forth, right? The on claim or make it or say banter. I just say we can or no the na all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow mo.
But all you do court me there that was not
no. And yes I know what kind ura court no G2
yeah be or maintaining the position say no can or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically remember just or practice no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that no or the move you try your internet to who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis, and obviously it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuakam.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no Biedun Komono. And also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on say there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I would not say use their. I would not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, "Oh no, only to be a and that's how it went. But what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. And also a very astute lawyer, Onimumrapa, new beer, your dream, and some people walk cry a car on Jim Tumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. He always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, trial, peace. said that just schedule say, and from this time to this time, no, can you support to staff that work out to no, we are dedicating it to your case. Into it's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, no, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say this maybe by this time no will be say ya grow no or commit to the right senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire no, unfortunately, me and Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, in these days, we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaint the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million. $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at before the mandatory settlement conference, before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe him saying let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, papa about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Mukodru Hono. Anas initially, ne kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say a woman saw $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes,
but because of the experience now, unim sibi anyo mateno, ono client here Anas Kasa and say it will be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, no client and us, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yeah, like I said, your lawyer at Awemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
Also come home. Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Wemega is there.
Yes.
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So, the whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, $10,000 to end the case.
No.
And I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way he's sitting here. I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us unanimously what they had arrived at. But, we decided to keep it under wraps because, there was a component, you multiply 18 million by 5, money do 90 million. For a total of about...
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah. Because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say back to your board with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
yana pay a coin no nema ba kuminu si ya we ended up leaving that alone a pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two a boss na in terms of that and sana say one way or another I be back I pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens be I bit me German and cafe but at this time almost my court no say almost be into so
okay so at this point Oma Makote who say ombeba 80 million or omo pentiso. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper, a judgment. I just say court ruling seal better so.
Yeah.
That will take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, matese binu kasa appeal by nya appeal nyendi. Depending on how that motion goes, we will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and so depending on how that motion goes,
So for now,
yes.
18 Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, someone says to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, it's a call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, someone says to back 10, we can go for another ×5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way, and I would say sometimes very, very slow, and sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home, and especially when Kennedy presented a case where we knew fear, which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, what have you I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you do you want to share something with us before you go?
Yeah. Me share all the young people in Ghana. Me show them crying say yeah. Now the country is a young country, so I tend not to criticize too strongly.
Yeah.
But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country because you know, my only thing is that young people see that it's wrong or they know it's wrong, they need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But we do my American, I'm a school from high school, I'm a lawyer, and you know, I know America very well, and for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana.
Observe we any command lawyer and any current like train a Ghana info and Yantowasi, Akubo, Edmundo Cray, our song or channel so now Sanabas so like overshare or subscribe to this channel, celebrate update about so sabit me Akabi Ashe Macramo.